So how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, very good, very good. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I appreciate it. I was hoping to learn more about how to add healthy grains to my diet, or hope you could help inform my readers about that, to help them lead maybe a healthier lifestyle.
Well, I know you have a food blog, and I think one of the things that I like to emphasize to people is being very practical. So what are ways you can still enjoy the foods you love, but make them healthier? And I've always said I think switching to whole grains is probably the easiest way to make your food healthier without having to necessarily give up the food you love. And so my big focus is always saying, okay, well, breakfast, lunch, dinner, what are ways that you can make some subtle changes? Well, making sure that the building blocks of the food you're making are whole grains is probably one of the smartest things you can do when it comes to your health, because people who eat whole grains, they're more likely to be at their ideal body weight, less likely to have heart disease, better GI health. And so what's cool nowadays is more and more companies, as you know, are making products with whole grain as the main ingredient.
Okay.
And so, as you may or may not know, the initiative I'm doing right now, the Whole Grain Initiative, is together with General Mills, because they reformulated all their cereals to be made with whole grain as the first ingredient.
Oh, okay.
So their big push is trying to educate people. Look, whole grains are good, and if you want the benefits of whole grains, you've got to read the label. So the hardest thing for people who have not traditionally looked at foods and figured out, well, is this healthy? Is this whole grain? Is a lot of times people won't necessarily read the ingredients.
Okay. On the box you're talking.
Yeah. So whether it's, whether you're looking at cereal or bread, or maybe you're making a pasta dish, if you don't look at the ingredients list, you don't know if it's whole grain or not. It might say wheat.
Okay.
But if you look at the ingredient list and it doesn't say whole wheat, then it's not whole grain. And the reason that matters is that refined grains, they act like sugar in your body.
Okay.
So again, if you're making food, and let's say you're going to use flour, if you use whole wheat flour, it actually changes that meal from one that's going to act a lot like pure sugar in the body to one that's going to have fiber, nutrients, and it really does add up. So sometimes people will say, well, Dr. Stork, is it going to taste as good? And what I've learned is that it ends up, people say it tastes better.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's more wholesome.
Okay,
so
that makes sense.
The other day I made homemade whole wheat lasagna. And whole wheat lasagna, the noodles they're a little heartier.
Okay.
And so it's more, and it fills you up more. With the same number of calories, you're more filled up because of all the fiber, so you're less likely to overeat and overindulge. And I think that's another big point when it comes to whole grains, is especially for guys.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah. So all these small changes can really add up to a healthier lifestyle in the end. If you make a few small changes, is what it sounds like to me. The outcome is that you have a much healthier lifestyle.
And unfortunately, Brad, the results right now, our stats aren't great. Less than 5% of us are getting the amount of whole grains we're supposed to get.
Yep.
And it's one of the things I had to do in my own life. Over the last number of years, I've switched out all the refined grains to whole grains. I've tried to, I still make what I consider to be hearty foods, but they're also healthy. Hearty and healthy, or I should say hearty healthy doesn't have to be an oxymoron.
Okay.
You can have both.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what do companies do to process the grain to make it that it's not a whole grain anymore? And why does that change that grain from being healthy to unhealthy?
So, not to get too specific, but a whole grain, if you just literally take a whole grain, it has three components. It's got the outer core, which is the bran. It's got the germ, which is all the nutrients, and then it has something called endosperm. That's all the carbohydrates. When you refine a grain, you get rid of the bran and the germ, which is all the fiber and nutrients, and you get rid of it. And what you're left with is just the carbohydrate.
Oh, okay.
ultimately, you never get it back to where it once was. And so, why not just eat the whole grain? Is kind of my theory.
I agree. That makes sense. Okay. So, a little bit about yourself. Why did you decide to become a doctor? And why did you decide to then take that career to the next level and share your knowledge on TV?
I think the most important driving factor for me was, number one, there's nothing quite like the one-on-one interaction you have with a patient as a doctor, and being able to help them in their time of need. I know it sounds silly or cliche, but once it becomes a passion, then going to work, I guess the best way to put it is every day you leave work, you feel good about what you did. And I think that's one of the reasons that I decided to become a doctor, is because I wanted to, as silly as it may sound, I wanted to make a difference. I wanted my life work to be meaningful, and it's just, no matter what happens in healthcare, I still think the doctor-patient relationship is one of the most sacred ones that we have.
Okay, and that's very noble, and I wish the world needs more people like you to help guide us in the right direction, so to speak. So I really appreciate that.
I work with med students, and I can say this, that the good news is there are still a lot of young people going into medicine that have a passion for it, and they're doing it not because, really not doing it for any other reason than they truly want to be great doctors and help people. And so people should be encouraged, because I see medical students every day with that fire and passion in their eyes.
Oh, that's terrific to hear. That is so terrific to hear. So going back to the whole grains, where can my readers or other people find out more about eating healthier with whole grains and making these lifestyle changes?
Well, the website wholegrainnation.com has more information, and then our website, thedoctorstv.com, is always chock full of information as well.
Oh, okay, great, terrific. Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with me and answer all my questions. It was very nice to talk to you, and I wish you the best in this new year.